Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the people around the world who have joined us for this discussion. Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Future of World panel discussion series being organized by the INK. IN Kozhikode and its global alumni community celebrated the Institute's 25th Foundation Day on August 21, 2020 by kicking off a year-long Silver Jubilee celebration with a string of events leading up to the 25th anniversary on August 21, 2021. Please join us in these celebrations by subscribing to the alumni social media handles and also our YouTube channel. We are also celebrating World Tourism Day, and we are here today with a panel of top draw professionals from the world of travel, tourism, and hospitality. We will be covering a topic that is very relevant to today's day and age: travel, tourism, and hospitality during the COVID era, and looking beyond the pandemic to what lies ahead. I would also like to mention that the opinions and views expressed here in this discussion is personal and does not belong to their organizations. Before starting the discussion, let me take this opportunity to thank IMK Alumni Association and Kochi chapter for organizing this event. A special mention to Nithun, Mark, Liz, and Parvat for putting all the panelists together. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sweatha from EPGP Kochi 04 batch. I'm currently working with IndusInd Bank. Previously, I had the opportunity to work as a cabin crew for IndiGo Airlines, and I have worked in the aviation industry for 7 years. We have a stellar panel of travel, tourism, and hospitality veterans with us today. I will start off by introducing Mr. Sundeep Nair. Sundeep is from EPGP Kochi 04 batch. He is an experienced risk management professional with 15 years of experience with hotels and hospitality, catering, food manufacturing, and service sectors. He has worked with brands like Intercontinental Hotels Group, Swiggy Private Brands, Starwood Hotels, Damak LLC, Tata Innovative Foods. He have handled functions including operational risk, security, food safety, and business continuity management. A very warm welcome to you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Sweatha. Thank you for that wonderful piece of introduction. Looking forward for a very fruitful and informative session. Thank you.
And I hope like we all are very curious to hear from you.
Sure,
Next, I would
definitely.
like to introduce Nikhil Dhar. Next, I would like to introduce Nikhil Dhar from PGP 13 batch. Nikhil is Director for Brand and Marketing at IndiGo. He is responsible for anything that you see with door-to aircraft in India and abroad. He has around 10 years of experience across media, strategy consulting, and he is now into aviation. He has got a rich experience with C-suite in implementing transformation across brand and strategy. A very warm welcome to you, Nikhil.
Thanks, Sweatha. As mentioned by Sudeep, great introduction. Really look forward to some engaging discussion with the panel members.
Yeah, we finally got to see the face behind all those innovative and catchy, taglines which IndiGo comes up with. I'm sure
no, it's all team. It's all teamwork. I think I'm not just the face. I think there's a lot of sort of team which does some really great work.
Great. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Saba from EPGP Kochi 03 batch. He is currently working as Assistant Vice President, Human Resources and Learning and Development at CGH Earth Experience Hotels. A very warm welcome to you, Saba.
Hi, good morning, Sweatha, and good morning to all panelists and listeners throughout. I am alumni and others. Looking forward to an engaging conversation with everybody. Great.
Next, I'll move on to Reema from PGP 20 batch. Reema heads the South region for the corporate channel of MakeMyTrip. She is responsible for the P&L of Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Telangana. A very warm welcome to you, Reema.
Hey Sweatha, thank you so much. I'm glad to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
Same. Thank you. Lastly, I would like to introduce Mr. Ratish from EPGP 06 batch. He is the Managing Director of Paradise Holidays, a Kerala-based tour company, Sanjeevani Ayurveda Hospital and Wellness Center. He has been in tourism for the last 12 years, and his main area of focus are marketing and strategy. Prior to his entrepreneurial journey, Mr. Ratish served Tata Technologies, Pune as CAE analyst. A very warm welcome to you, Ratish. Okay, before starting the discussion, I would like to give all the viewers a brief about the structure of this discussion. In the beginning, we will explore the changes in consumer demands and how companies have pivoted their marketing and communication strategies. Secondly, we will discuss the use cases, the learnings or experiences which our panelists have gone through, what has worked for them and what has not. Finally, we will discuss what are the best practices that can be adopted and what is the way forward. In the end, we will also take questions from our viewers from YouTube Live and FB Live. Let's start off our discussion with Sundeep. Sundeep, you were heading the risk management, so you must have handled the safety, security, and also quality management. It's an area where many gets cautious during this pandemic. How do you see this whole situation must have affected the hospitality industry?
Well, Sweatha, thanks for the question. If I talk about the risk management in the risk management world, basically, the COVID pandemic has been categorized as something called a black swan event. So basically, a black swan event is an unpredictable event which can which goes beyond the normal life, basically, normal expectancy, and it is a global crisis. We all know that, and it is with severe potential consequences what is happening all throughout the world. And unfortunately, the travel, tourism, and hospitality sector has been mostly affected, and I would say worstly affected. And because it started off with one country and later on just spread across the globe, and now travel and tourism and hospitality industry is still on the recovery phase, and all the close predictions are talking in a same language that it might take a period of 12 to 24 months at least to come back to a normalcy, wherein close to a normalcy which used to be happening in the year of 2019. So 2020, obviously starting from month of March, national lockdown happened, and series of events happened after that, right? We are all aware of that. Travel tourism sector has been badly hit. There were a lot of sub crisis scenarios which was basically associated with this pandemic. Obviously, predominantly health crisis, because the COVID has been spreading from human to human, transmission was involved. So when it worstly affected the travel tourism and hospitality sector, a lot of sub crisis happened. We all know that many job losses happened in the sector. Health crisis happened, pay cuts, salary cuts, etc. happened. Cyber crimes was kind of happening as part of the scenario. Supply chain disruptions happened. Travel, man movement, material movement, employees were not able to come to work. So most of the hotels were shut down, for a period of, at least for a period of 2 months in India, I would say. April and May was complete shutdown for the hotels, because obviously the central ministry was not allowing the hotels to open, obviously, because hotels are coming under non-essential category, and only essential services were allowed to operate at that point of time, right? So most of the hotels were shut down. So this was eventually a huge hit, uh, really badly hit for the hospitality sector, right? So
Yes.
no corporate movements, no leisure movements, nothing of that sort happened. MICE segment, that is, meetings, incentives, conferences, and events, was banned. Obviously, there was a ban on the public gathering and etc. by the government. So all these measures were basically to prevent the spread of coronavirus pandemic, right?
Yeah.
As hotels during this point of time, we're re-strategizing, how do we really come up with certain protocols to improve the customer experience, post covid era, during the post covid era. So this was kind of a look back for the hotels, just to come up with certain implementations and recommendations, coming up from the central ministry, state ministry, etc., etc. So I would say safety, obviously, safety and hygiene is of central point of any operation for that matter. So all the hotels, what they have done is they have implemented all the safety and hygiene aspects just to prevent the spread of infection inside the hotels, starting from hand hygiene, your health and safety protocols, temperature screening,
Mm.
social distancing protocols, food safety implementations. Employee awareness is very important because a lot of employees were badly affected. You can imagine the mental trauma which they will be going through. What will be the future of the industry, etc., and all that. So collectively, the leadership, starting from the leadership of the hotel company to all the levels of the hotel management, this was the primary focus of of all the hotel companies to come up with certain strategies. How do we really bounce back? So how we can materialize in certain areas which we were not focusing on earlier. For example, just as an example, I can quote that cleaning and disinfection activities were used to happening in the hotel, but it was always considered as a backstage activity, right?
Mm.
So now, most of the customers, all the hotel companies have come up with certain enhanced protocols, upgraded protocols, right, for cleaning and disinfection. So we need to show that we are having enhanced world-class cleaning and disinfection protocols, and this in the visibility of the guest, this will create definitely a good what do you call customer confidence, in
Mm.
creating a very safe and hygienic environment for the guest, right? That's what we want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep. Uh, Next, I'll move on to Nikhil. I would like to ask a similar question to Nikhil. You are into airline industry, so safety and hygiene parameters equally applies to the industry, and we all know that IndiGo always stands out in communicating effectively to its passengers. How is it different from your earlier strategies?
No, I think as Sandeep mentioned, COVID is a true black swan event, and what it also did was it completely inverted the Maslow's hierarchy in aviation. I think before everyone was more concerned about quality of food, whether you're getting more leg space, or where you are sitting, etc., etc. But this COVID completely changed it. Now everyone wanted the basic needs, which is all about hygiene, safety, etc. So that there was a complete shift in the consumer behavior, which we wanted to sort of address properly. Another important thing for us was to make sure that we sort of talk to all our stakeholders. Passengers are very important, but as Sandeep mentioned, internal employees were more critical for us. I think it was very important not only to motivate them, because at the end of the day, they will be at the forefront, and airports were initially sort of a hotspot for COVID. So how do you sort of motivate them? It was important to reach out to our trade partners. It was also very important to sort of convince the government, both central and state government, that air travel is safe. So it required us to sort of communicate across various stakeholders. So what we did, so we looked at a framework. I think one of the first things that we did, which was during pre-resumption of flights during the lockdown, the first step that we did was we took down all our sort of celebratory sort of advertisements, communications, etc., from all our channels. We didn't want to sound tone deaf, that we were sort of engaging and asking people to travel and do all of that, because it was not the right thing to do. So that was our step one. How do we sort of make sure that we are not tone deaf to what's happening across us? Step two was when we looked at resumption of flights. We wanted to make sure that whatever we communicate to our passengers, internal employees, it was very easy to understand. And at the end of the day, reduce the anxiety in traveling. That was most important. I think we wanted to make air travel simple and easy to understand. In lieu of that, we literally rebranded our airline. We started a campaign which is still ongoing, which is called Green Clean Flying Machine. The idea behind this was to communicate both internally and externally that IndiGo as an airline is a lean airline, it's a clean airline, and we are the safety of our passengers and our staff is our utmost priority. Also, what we realized that we had to sort of get this message out across all our touch points. So when you are thinking of booking, we created a video to make it easy for consumers to understand how air travel is safe, how there are HEPA filters which make sure that the air is refreshed every 2 or 3 minutes, how staff etc. is taking precautions. So when you are booking, at least you feel more confident of flying. When you are sort of booking the flights, we had all the guidelines, whether it's state guidelines, what is it really important for passengers, do's and don'ts on our website for them to easily understand. When they reach the airport, it was important to sort of still continue to communicate with them through our cabin crew, through our ground staff. And even when they sort of end their travel, I think it was important to sort of do a post-travel survey with them to understand what went right, what went wrong. So we sort of created a 360-degree communication, which happens across all our touch points. It was very important. Post that, I think stage 3 was when we felt that there is a bit more demand opening up, and we want to build more confidence in air travel. That is where we started sort of looking at how do we emotionally sort of connect with the consumers. And we started doing a lot of these testimonials. We did a few campaigns, such as we celebrated our millionth passenger. We talked about how till now around 4 million passengers have traveled and how air travel is safe. So we started doing all of that. The idea at the end of the day, and I think one of the key learnings when we communicated was threefold. I think whenever we are communicating such things, I think firstly it has to be internal focused. If your own employees are convinced about what you're talking about, it's much easy to convince the customers. If that's what they get as a service, they understand we are not sort of bluffing. It's not just marketing gimmick. It's like true thing. Right. Second, I think what we really understood was you have to be really consistent. I think you can't talk about sanitation, etc. on one end and then talk about low fares, etc. at the other end. Our communication has to sort of only talk about sanitation under the branding of Lean Clean Flying Machine. And lastly, I think it has to stand the test of the time. You can't stop talking about it. You have to sort of continue to talk about it so that you build that confidence in the minds of the consumer.
Great, Nikhil. So now let's move on to our next panelist, Saba. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, we all know the hotel industry has been badly hit. And also, the companies trying to let go of their employees or they are implementing a pay cut. How difficult was it for you to manage this whole situation, being as an HR?
Yeah, thanks, Sweatha, for that question. Yes, I don't think we have ever faced in the business community such an event. Of course, very aptly termed the black swan. It was beyond any planning that we could do. In the industry, you're right. The complete standstill obviously had to be adjusted, and zero revenues in most areas, like any other business. We had to take salary cuts. That's been omnipresent in the industry as well. Mm-hmm. And similarly, the organizations that we are part of, that was also there. And a lot of times, the initial people who normally get impacted are the temporary workers and contract workers, as we would say. And yes, they were the initially impacted ones. However, we did represent that with the government through forums like Frizzle, which ensure that finally at the end of working with them, lobbying, a few months later, we were able to achieve. Last month, we had some very good news. We have something called the Employee State Insurance Corporation, which is applicable for people at the bottom of the pyramid who have remuneration lesser than 20,000 or 21,000. And government finally yielded and relaxed one of their programs to be able to provide them unemployment benefit, which is a first. I mean, it's significantly been revamped to about 50%. So while we are able to take care of the larger permanent workforce in the industry, this is one part where it has been very difficult time, because you can't really go through your entire spectrum of people and be able to fend them for a longer duration. Yeah, Kerala has faced and world and large has faced temporary phases like these kind of events or floods or Nipah or whatever impact. But this is going to be sustained, as Sundeep did mention earlier. We don't see it going away in few months' time. We think that it is here to stay longer, and the impact is going to stay longer, and the revival is going to be slow. So the government's response has been helpful, at least for the bottom of the pyramid, so we can take care of the rest of the workforce. Yes, but it's been trying time for human resources team, along with the business leaders, to be able to minimize the impact. But we're far away from it, but we are trying our best.
Thank you, Saba. Next, I'll ask Reema. Reema, how have the last 6 months been, and how have things changed since then?
Hey, Sweatha. Shweta, so I think we've seen too many changes in a very short span of time. And, if I have to categorize the last 6 months into three different phases, the phase one being when there was like an immediate lockdown, the country borders were sealed, flights were grounded, and hotels and restaurants were shut, cities came to a standstill. So there was absolutely no travel. Then came the second phase where the lockdown gradually was lifting, and we saw an emergency travel happening, which is a one-way travel, people going back to their hometowns, and that was a temporary movement that we saw. The phase three, which is probably the current phase, there's a mix of trend that we see. One is the continuation of the emergency travel, and the second is some part of leisure travel coming back, because people have not been able to step out for months now. uh, we see ground transport picking up, people taking outstation cabs, booking buses for a day or two and stepping out to the outskirts of the city. So I think that has seen some traction. If I have to speak on the business travel front, business travel has undergone a major shift amid the COVID pandemic, and on the similar lines, in the phase one there was an immediate declaration that there's going to be a work from home for till July or maybe till end of this year, and a mandate was given to most of the companies, right? So and the second phase where again there was emergency travel, employees relocating, going back to their hometowns. The third phase, which is the current phase, interestingly, there are certain sectors which have resumed travel partially because, for them, travel is inevitable, and for them to survive, they need to resume it, right? So those sectors, maybe the construction, manufacturing sector, we see them bringing back the labor part, right? So they are coming back in bulk. The pharma sector is traveling. We see a lot of doctors movement, doctor moving here and there. So I think that has revived. There's certain recovery there, and this might continue for the next, I think, 3-4 months because that can't stop at this point. So people are kind of coming to terms with the fact that this is the new normal, and they have to start living this way. With taking all the necessary precautions, and continue to travel.
That's a way to explain that travel.
Absolutely, yeah. Good times for us.
Okay, so I'll move on to Ratish. Ratish, being an entrepreneur, it's been a very challenging time for you. And you have been in this industry for quite a long time now. How prepared were you to face such an incident? And what are the new steps in an organization level, depending on the new trends in the consumer behavior?
Hi, Sweatha. Thank you for the question. See, when you ask about tours and travel perspective, tours and travels is a somewhat a fragmented sector. There are lot of tour operators who are small players. They normally run from their home or with this husband wife kind of people do the main job, or there will be few staff with them, and their idea is to have their own living, but they do good job. There are a lot of people in the country who does like this. And next category is medium level people. They'll be having little more professionalism in the way they do things. They'll be having long term goals, but not to a high extent. But they will be having short term goals for sure. And the they way look will be much better than from the small kind of tour operators. They also will have kind of plan B, but normally their basic idea is to have short-term goals and do the business. Then the big players, obviously, they'll be having risk management people. They do predictive analysis. They do all the predictions, everything. They do in a highly professional way, but they'll be having a better idea, better plans, better plan B, how to tackle a situation. This is the basic idea about tours and travels business in the country. Uh, in this scenario, when a pandemic like COVID comes, these people, the small players, they will not have any plan to do something. They'll be very passionate. They're quite passionate people getting into tourism only because of their passion. So they will not have any passion towards anything else. So if when the tourism is standstill, they will have no other option to have their living. They will not have, even their mind will not work for anything else. They normally sit idle. They won't look for anything else, and they'll be managing it. The medium players, they'll be having little better idea, so they do in that way. This is how things are happening in the country. So the small players are still they are waiting for the market to open. And the biggest problem we are facing is Kerala. I'm from Kerala. Kerala is still not open. Most of the almost other states started opening. So wherever it's open, tourism will start with that. Coming to coming to my situation, as I'm from Kerala, if you look the graph from 2000, I started in 2008. 2008 till now, till around 2018, we were growing like anything. All tour operators were doing extremely well. We never had any setback until we saw the Nipah virus issue in 2018. We started with Nipah, so that was kind of unexpected thing for everyone, because even the small players, medium players, none of us have seen a setback. So none of us were kind of prepared at that time. Nipah, we saw. Just after 2 months, we saw the massive flood. So that also it took many months to recover. Almost 4 to 5 months we had to run the show without any revenue. Then guests started flowing to only Kerala affected during that time. So people were traveling to other states. Kerala then started recovering after 3 4 months. Then we were slowly picking up. Then again in 2019 another flood came. So by the time things were little different. So what we did is, by the time we understood that anything happens around, any environmental factors affect tourism. So we started preparing ourselves for if something goes wrong, we should be able to manage the organization. So we started preparing ourselves for the things. So Nipah or the flood or the second flood was kind of training for us to prepare ourselves to make sure our operation costs are minimal. I mean, all the human resource, everything is much matured. So we could plan little bit because of that. And so by the time 2019 and we started understanding that things may go wrong. By 2019, even we could recover from the 2018 flood. Still, by 2020 January, we started understanding that things may not go the way we expect. So what we did is, at the time, even Harvard, there was some information or some studies from Harvard also shown that a major number of people in the world will be affected by this virus. So with all these things, we by January, February, we almost stopped all our marketing activities. We started concentrating on our human resource. We started training, and entire operations we stopped almost by February. Then we started training, and we could manage in that way. So now again, almost 6 to 7 years, everyone is idle. All tour operators are idle. We could do something with the, I mean, this last few days we could do something with the when the people are coming back, all those kind of things we could do. But in another 3 to 4 months, when things started slowly opening, uh, I mean, we are well prepared how to manage in a different way now, or how to go ahead. We are starting with the training, all those things we are doing. So I mean, we are almost prepared for that, and new steps in the organizational level, how to manage with the, how to adopt the new situation and go ahead. That's the main thing which we need to look into it now. People are more concerned about safety. People are more concerned about hygiene factors, which no one asked till now. Now we need to look into all those factors, and the way people travel, the group travels may not resume in the beginning. As we are from leisure tours, the group travel may not start in the beginning. We need to concentrate more on FITs. So all those things we are preparing, and that's the way we have done it. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Ratish. Okay, with that, now we will move on to stage two, the learnings, uh, and what has worked for them and what has not worked with them. So, I'll ask Sandeep, like, Sandeep, since we have already discussed about the safety standards which are to be implemented due to COVID, could you elaborate on some basic measures which have been taken by the hotels to make their customers feel safe and secure?
Yeah, sure, Shweta. So to be specific, as my fellow panelists were mentioning, this is this has badly affected the sector, and now the sector is actually still on the verge of recovery, even though the central government and the state governments have removed certain restrictions. All the borders are already open. Most of the borders are open, and a lot of relaxations on the quarantine and isolation requirements, etc. But still, people will be having some sort of stigma in terms of traveling, right? So it might take a little bit more time, but nevertheless, hotels, what the hotels currently are focusing on is how to enhance safety and hygiene aspects, and how to give a more safe environment for the guest, for the customers. So this will basically create a very good environment for them, as well as it will create a good customer confidence, right? So obviously hotels have implemented cleaning and disinfection, enhanced cleaning and disinfection measures. They have implemented temperature screening for the employees and the guest. Hand hygiene stations were installed in all the entrance points and all the entry points of the hotel. um, Self declaration has been implemented for all the guests. Whosoever is checking into the hotel have to declare their travel history and look for any COVID or flu-like symptoms, etc. So this is a local regulation as of now, because during this COVID time, obviously this central government has imposed epidemic act on and all across the country. So nobody is supposed to violate this act, right? Physical distancing measures were implemented in the hotels by making that floor markings and all that. Shield protection were implemented on the check-in and check-in counters, wherein a little bit of interaction with the guest is encountered. um, what the hotels have done is basically they have little bit, and they have, what I've seen is enhanced usage of technology has been utilized in the hotels. Before, it was a conventional method of guest interaction. So here, moving forward, I'm sure all the hotels will minimize the human interaction, at least for the time being, just to prevent the infection. So how you minimize the human interaction? By basically implementing contactless or touchless transactions wherever possible. For example, no cash transactions. Everything is online payments, and for a guest, going into the room. And a lot of hotels have implemented touchless check-in, checkouts. Enhancing customer experience through booking apps, hotel-specific booking apps, ordering room service through the apps, etc. So in the public spaces of the hotels, there are a lot of enhanced cleaning and disinfection protocols have been implemented all throughout, and it is quite visible for the guest, right? And since public gathering was not allowed, or rather there was a restriction, so all the meeting spaces were kind of has been implemented. Meeting spaces in the hotels have been implemented with social distancing protocols. Restaurants were were allowed to operate with 50% of the capacity of the seating capacity of the restaurant. Obviously there was a huge I would say huge surge on the health and safety protocols for the employees and the guests, right? So there was no compromise on from the hotel side, towards health and safety protocols for the employees. So all the employees whosoever resumed duties after the lockdown were, have been strictly undergone medical checkup, by medical practitioner, and the return to work policy was implemented. Another implementation was, hotels implemented, isolation and quarantine requirements. For example, if there is an interstate travel, be it a guest, be it an employee who want to resume duties, strict. Every state has their own quarantine, requirements. So we were strictly following. The hotel companies were strictly following all these quarantine requirements for the employees, just to make sure that they are, there is no human to human transmission of the disease, right? So I would say this safety and hygiene has become a central point, wherein most of the not only the hotel industry, respective of the hotel industry, all the organizations are talking about safety and hygiene nowadays, and it has reached to all the levels of the society. It has literally impacted all of us, right? And one more thing I just wanted to mention is that, going forward, be it a hotel hospitality in a hotel industry, be it a travel tourism operator, whichever business operator, which whosoever is involved in this sector, I think safety and hygiene will become their so-called USP moving forward. So to mention a couple of examples, I think a couple of hotel companies have implemented, for example, IHG, Intercontinental Hotel Group, have implemented Clean Promise, culture of clean. Marriott hotel companies have implemented, commitment to clean, Cleanliness Council. Accor Hotel Group have implemented All Safe certification. What they have done, the hotel companies have done, is basically they have partnered with certain hygiene companies or auditing firms, just to enhance their safety and hygiene standards, and to get them certified. And I think for bigger brands, bigger hotel brands, partnering with these kind of agencies and firms is giving them an edge towards future, securing the safe and healthy environment for the guest.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep. Um, I'll move on to Reema. Reema, how does the post-pandemic travel trends, and do you see any possible shifts on the customer demand side?
So, Shweta, so having been confined in our houses for such a long time, and so many of us have had to cancel our travel plans, be it short weekend or an international trip that we've been planning for years. So there's this kind of a speculation that we might see a revenge traveling in the near future. People who people might want to take extra trips because they were deprived of it for so long. But again, this would happen only, when the situation normalizes a little. then people might want to take some extra trips. But coming to the demand side, I think India is a robust domestic market as compared to other nations that mostly rely on the international tourist. So India receives close to 11 million international tourists, which is a pretty low number as compared to those that travel outside of India. That's about, I think, 24 to 25 million, right? So incentivizing the domestic tourism at this point, and maybe for the coming 6-7 months, would probably be the key. And I think few states have already started doing that, especially given the fear of traveling abroad and the border restrictions that we already have, would just strengthen this fact. And as and when the international travel restrictions ease a little, where and people would start maybe taking international trips and holidays, there's going to be an intense competition between the countries, because every country would be then focusing on the same set of market. So countries, I think, will have to come up with an aggressive marketing plan to be able to tap that one single market. So
Okay. I'll move on to Saba. Saba, you work with CGH and they promote responsible hospitality, which I've seen is very unique. And do you think because of that, your company has an edge over others during this pandemic? Because medical tourism is trending these days.
Yes, thanks for that question again, Shweta. Definitely, I think with this health pandemic, everybody's focus is now on health, and immunity happens to be a very big thing today. Unfortunately, our wellness has not reopened yet, as much as leisure has started. But I think you're right. We are going to be having a lot of demand, or we predict that we are going to have a lot of demand on the wellness once the borders are completely open. Kerala still has restrictions on people
Yeah.
coming in, except for business. So we are very keenly looking forward to that segment opening up. And we see companies like ours, CGH, where there is a wellness domain which is very, very strong. We see a very strong rebound possibility there, right? And coming to the responsible tourism, it is a very, very niche segment. We are a player in the south of India, in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry, Karnataka segment, primarily in the south of India. However, we've been big on local in terms of highlighting things. We have programs like which develop the local content, supporting farmers to local artisans to local tour operators to things like that. We very strongly collaborate with the immediate environment to be able to create value. So that's where we see as being responsible. And as you saw, Reema mentioned, the potential of inbound is hardly half of the outbound, which is 24 million. So, and today with flights being difficult and people really not very confident of traveling outside, we think Reema's prediction of revenge tourism is probably going to come true once the initial fear is going to wear away. And we are keenly looking forward to things like the vaccine, which will improve customer confidence. And once that is in, I think sky's going to be the limit. And as much as we saw the dip, we're probably going to see a surge as well. So that is the kind of confidence we have. And traditional, or alternative, wellness options other than allopathy, which is just treatment for you to get cured, is going to be a big thing on immunity for Ayurveda or naturopathy, which are the domains that, and especially Kerala is known for Ayurveda in this part of the country. So we're strongly looking forward to that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Saba. We have a question from our viewer, Ramamurthy. Sandeep, would you like to say about the precautions and ways in which the tourism industry provides and promote to the people to be safe and secure in these tough conditions?
Yeah, Shweta, as I mentioned earlier, safety and hygiene has received utmost importance, right? So earlier, as I think Ritesh also mentioned the same, as well as Nikhil. Um, Now, be it a traveler, he has become more responsible towards his travel, right? Writing and starting from choosing the destination, starting from choosing the mode of transport. So everything has become a little bit sophisticated, I would say. So this is a trend going forward, because as everyone mentioned, this pandemic is not going to probably leave the earth soon, right? So we need to start to learn to live with this, right? So that's how the terminology came, new normal, right? So what I'm trying to say is how we can move forward in this unprecedented times, right? So we need to be responsible. Each and everyone has to be responsible for that matter, for sure. So in that way, I think safety and security will become a part of this new normal. It's already a part of this new normal, I would say, right? So in that way, I think all the stakeholders, be it a travel tour operator, be it a aggregator, be it an e-commerce, company, hotel companies for sure. So everybody already started to speak the language of safety, right? Safety and hygiene has for sure, it has become a mantra of business nowadays, right? Starting from all the levels, all the hotel company CEOs have released videos, for that matter, to reach out to their stakeholders, all the guests, all the whosoever is associated with the business. They have already given that message already, starting from all the organizations for that matter. So safety and security, as we mentioned, even government is specifying guidelines for safety and hygiene measures. So it is not only specific to tourism, travel and tourism and hospitality sector. I think all the organizations are implementing safety and hygiene measures irrespective, right? It has become a part of our life.
Nikhil, would you like to add something from aviation perspective?
Sure. I think Sandeep very well captured how safety and hygiene and sanitation is sort of the need of the hour, and it has become the utmost priority. Everyone uh, from a ground staff to the CEOs across all the organizations are not talking about it. I think just to ensure that we promote tourism, travel, the various things that the airlines and even I think hotels, etc., have done is to introduce contactless travel. I think that is one thing. Earlier, you had to sort of print boarding passes, do a lot of touches, etc. I think that's something we have, as an aviation industry, we have tried to sort of streamline all of that process. In a way, it's great for the future. I think we were doing a lot of these paper sort of based work, which hopefully is great part of COVID, that there's been such a drastic digital transformation. I think that's great. Second thing that we have realized is that the safety of our passengers is highly correlated to the safety of our employees. Uh, so that's why we are ensuring that all the staff members, etc., who are sort of engaging and getting in direct contact with the passengers are tested. They're ensured they are properly sanitized. They have their masks, they have their gloves, because we don't want jeopardize the sort of health of our passengers. So that is something that we are really focusing on. One another trend that is coming out, and even in the aviation sector, is that a lot of us as airlines have sort of now hired chief medical officers who are sort of helping us, guide us to understand what are the guidelines, what is the correct way. We have very strict guidelines on the sort of type of mask, type of PPE kits, etc., that we can use, because they have to sort of be. The chief medical officer tells us that this is only the quality of PPE kit, this is the quality of mask, this is the level of sanitization products, disinfectant products that you can use. So that has also sort of start building up. I think organizations are taking this very seriously. And the idea at the end of the day is, if you do all of this, consumers then really consume these products and services, they will understand that the organizations are taking all the measures, they're taking all the steps, and that will start building confidence. And just to build on that, we are also now doing customer testimonials, as I mentioned earlier, to sort of continue to build more and more confidence in the minds of the consumer.
That's a great insight, Nikhil. With that, I will move on to Ratish. Ratish, there are so many new traveling trends emerging. And right now, we do not have any inbound travelers. What do you think our domestic travelers want? And do you change made any changes in your strategies to cater to our domestic travelers?
Yeah, thank you, Sweatha. You asked me three questions. One is the new traveling
New
trend.
traveling trends.
Second, you asked me new segment of travelers.
Yeah.
Second, you asked me new segment of travelers. Again, you asked me what does domestic travelers
Yeah.
want. Okay. See, from a traveling perspective, we normally divide travelers into three. We used to have leisure travelers, we used to have business travelers, then we used to have this medical tourism travelers. The leisure travelers, their idea of traveling, either it used to be honeymoon or the normal. Honeymoon is something everyone travels. Almost a huge chunk of people travel. Then the family traveling and the group traveling. This family traveling has a problem. This family traveling, normally the by the time we get into kids and kind of things, we used to be busy with our work. So this segment used to be very busy with their work, and this is the only time they get to spend with their family or with the kids. Many times we have seen many travelers, when they come, they even personally used to meet us. They tell, this is the only time I can spend with my kids, only time I can show it to my kids that I can do something interesting for you. So every point they are very much concerned about it. They want everything to be perfectly planned without any hit in between. Even the hotel selection, vehicle selection, driver selection, booking of different activities, they are too much concerned about it, because according to them, that's the only time they spend with their kids, and their kids value them. So the way they plan this trip, it's what depends their next few days, how their children love them. That's kind of perspective these people are having. Then the group travelers will have a lot of people come together. So what this is the leisure travelers. Then comes the business as well as the medical people. Even after pandemic, or the once things are open, once the state started opening, this leisure travel, normally it will not affect them, because they will again start traveling. Honeymoon travelers, obviously they travel. The family travelers, they travel, and the group, they travel. But the order will be reversed. The group will not travel at the moment. It starts with honeymoon people, whom they really want to travel after marriage. The family people, they hold on for some time, but definitely they will travel, because they want to provide good time to their family and kids. And the group travel, they take time, because a huge number of people have to take a call for a trip, and their safety concerns, everything will come into picture. Even last few months, or last one and a half, we started getting few inquiries. What we understand is, because they are at home for this many number of days, people wanted to travel, and the moment they understand unlock 1 2 3 is happening, they are getting into websites and they are giving inquiries. They wanted to travel, and they are talking to us in the first call, the way they really wanted to confirm the package. They are taking all the itinerary, preparing, everything is happening like the way it used to be before. But what happens is, after 1 or 2 days, they think about their family, their children. safety issues come to their mind. So they are postponing the trip. And the good thing is these people wanted to travel. So definitely travel is going to come back. So this leisure travel will definitely come back. The second business travel is the what's happening is because of this pandemic, people are now adjusted to Zoom meetings kind of things, and the line between leisure and business is blurring. So normally they are sitting at home and they may travel with family, but for business travel, either they have to I mean, one thing, they have to travel. Second, their enterprise or their company has to approve the travel. Now companies understand they can save a lot of money if they cut short the travel. Reason is they can cut short money on the travel, stay, even the time of this employee they can use it, utilize for better things if they are sitting at office and doing all the meetings. So this business travel will take time to pick up, but definitely it will come back. And how it will come back is it starts with sales travel. The sales people have to travel. Sales closure happens normally direct to direct. So those people will travel first, and the other travelers. I mean, I really don't know. I don't think that it will come back to same how it was. But definitely it will come back, but not the way how it was before pandemic. Now people are adjusted to online kind of meetings. So whoever can do online meeting, they stick to online meetings. But definitely sales people will travel. Then the medical. Medical, now the biggest advantage Kerala is getting is Kerala now is known for its medical efficiency, especially the Ayurveda. So Ayurveda, even though it's wonderful, it was not accepted the way it is accepted now. Now, one thing, Ayurveda is accepted. Second thing, Ayurveda doctors have better confidence. They are much bigger now to promote Ayurveda. If you get into all those groups and understand how the doctors talk, they are much more interested, or they have much more confidence to promote Ayurveda now. So medical tourism will come back. In my guess or my understanding, the travel will come back with leisure and a mix of medical first. Then the leisure will happen. Leisure will happen with honeymoon, FIT, then family, then group travel. Then only our business travel will come back. Business travel will come with sales people traveling first, then only with other people. Even if you look into the history, the 2008 recession, after that, business travel, I mean, the leisure travel resumed first. The hotels like Marriott and all were having high occupancy during weekends, and weekdays they were having lean occupancy. That also shows that business travel happens after leisure travel. So we are expecting same kind of, or at least I am expecting same kind of trend this time also. But definitely it's going to happen now. Your second question, new segment of travel is that is going to be the Ayurveda, even though still exists. They will the Ayurveda, for Ayurveda more people will travel to Kerala now, and as Kerala is known for Ayurveda, that's going to be new trend in Kerala. India also, we may lose the business travel to an extent. That's what I am feeling. And domestic travelers, as we all said, they need hygiene, safety better than anything. And I really do not think the way they traveled or the way they wanted the itinerary will never change. The equation of traveling is not going to change if the pandemic ends within 1 to 2 years. If it goes beyond 2 years, or if it goes to 3 or 4 to 4 years, definitely the way people travel will change. But with 1 or 1.5 year pause of traveling, I don't think the equation of traveling will change. Even as I said in the previous question, when we took few inquiries and talked to customers, exactly same way they are talking, including the negotiation, same way they are talking to us. And as far as tours are concerned, I don't think domestic travelers. I think the domestic travelers require only extra things, hygiene and the safety factors. I think I answered you.
Okay, thank you, Ratish. We have a question from Professor Om Kumar, sir. Sir, thank you so much for joining this discussion with us. And his question is it premature to attract families now or look for solo travelers? So, Ratish, would you like to answer this question?
Thank you, Professor, for the question. Uh, as I pointed out, family, I don't think they will travel. If you think from our perspective, also, I really want to travel. I may want to travel with my wife, but not with the kids. When it comes to small children, we always look for their safety. So, if we promote family trips now, I really do not think it will be a viable thing. It starts with solo or honeymoon things. As I don't do solo, that didn't come to my mind. We do more of honeymoon trips. So it may start with FIT, so honeymoon kind of things. Then after some time only normally families will come out. Even to a shop, we are not taking our kids now. Then we cannot expect them to travel for a tour, right? So that's
Thank you.
my understanding on that.
I'll move on to Nikhil now. Nikhil, you mentioned that a lot of organizations have pivoted their business models. Can you quote any example from the aviation industry or maybe Indigo in general, which you can talk about?
Sure. I think everyone has sort of talked about how there has been a big demand side shock for the tourism and aviation industry. Unlike other industries where it was more of a supply side shock. For example, if you had to buy groceries, the demand for the grocery didn't go away. It's just the fact that the shops were closed, so you were not able to sort of get them from that shop. But for what has happened for aviation, tourism, and hospitality sector is that there has been a very, very strong demand side shock. People are not very confident of traveling. They still, and as rightly mentioned by Ratish, business travel has gone away. Only solo and sort of young couple, which is honeymoon, etc., travel is happening more. Families, group travel are still very restricted. What we wanted, so the whole scenario has changed for the industry, and similarly for aviation. And what we did at Indigo, and I think overall aviation industry, I think it was important for us to understand how we can get that additional money. What are those things that we can pivot our business to at least ensure that some revenue continues to come in. So from a few things happened. I think one which was very interesting was air cargo. We realized that there was a definite need for air cargo in the country, and more need, especially when you want to transport essential services, medical devices, vaccines, etc. A lot of organizations wanted to use air cargo rather than rail or road transportation. So what we did at Indigo, and I think this is a general trend across industries, a lot of airlines converted their passenger aircrafts into cargo aircrafts. Now we are carrying cargo even on our seats. There are nearly 10 to 15 aircrafts at Indigo which are just focused on doing cargo. And they were earlier doing passenger traffic. So that was an interesting trend. Second thing that we did from a pivoting perspective in the industry was to look at chartered flights. Uh, I think a lot of people wanted to travel from point A to point B. They were not very confident that whether they wanted to book regular flights. So we started offering chartered flights to them. And because we have varied fleet from a 222 seater aircraft to a 78-seater aircraft, we gave that opportunity to people to sort of book chartered flight. And interestingly, I think, and to our surprise, we actually have done more than 900 charter flights. We have flown more than 150,000 people in these charter flights. And to quote a very interesting example, in the early days, we actually got a very rich family from Indore, which wanted to go to Delhi, and they chartered the entire flight for a family of four. But it was their wish, but it was a very interesting insight. Thirdly, I think what we also understood that from a consumer demand perspective, a lot of people wanted to have their next seat or two seats next to them sort of vacant. They didn't want people to sort of travel with them. So we also introduced new products such as double seats, multi-seat, which allows either you to book your next seat, or it even allows you to sort of block the entire row if you want to block. So that is something that we did. Lastly, from a pivoting perspective, we also realized, and I think it's a general trend which is happening across other industries also. A lot of organizations are now doing tie-ups. They are sort of working with other organizations. We also started doing the same. We tied up with an insurance company to launch a product which is called Cancellation Assist, because people were sort of booking and canceling. As Ratish mentioned, you feel that you want to travel, and then after a couple of days, you realize about the safety of your family, safety of yourself, and then you want to sort of cancel that trip. So this cancellation product sort of allowed them to cancel their flights and not get charged the cancellation fee. So that was the insurance product we sort of launched. We also tied up with few hotel chains to sort of stimulate some demand, because they were taking all the sanitization precautions, etc. And we were taking precautions at our end. So if someone really wanted to do that solo travel or a young group travel, they could sort of do that. That was something interesting that we did. We also sort of tied up with some COVID test centers, especially for international travel. You had to sort of get these tests done. So these were some of the things that we started doing, and we still continue to do. The idea is, how do you sort of be very nimble and agile on your feet, and look at what are the new consumer demands that are coming and how you can tap them into, to ensure that there is a revenue stream that is there, while the regular business sort of takes its sweet time to come back to the pre-COVID era.
Okay, great, Nikhil. Okay, with that, we will move on to our stage 3 discussion. So we will discuss about what is the way forward and what are the best practices that the industry can follow. So I'll start off with Sundeep. Sundeep, we have already discussed about the emerging new segments of travelers. So which one do you think will continue to do well in the market, or which one will recover soon?
Sweatha, for this question, I completely agree with what Ratish has mentioned. And looking at the trends currently, what the hotels are also facing, is exactly vouching on the same. I think the whole trend of traveling is changing nowadays, and obviously there will be, I feel that leisure destinations slowly, gradually will pick up with a limited number of travelers, and predominantly, as Ratish mentioned, there'll be more single travelers, or more couple travelers initially moving forward. Obviously, because I completely vouch the fact that family travel will be still on a hold or a setback at the moment, because we are in our families, we have got kids, we have got aged people, etc. And they are, obviously, this pandemic is not allowing them to kind of travel to places, right? So considering the safety of these vulnerable group, obviously the travel trend, what we have seen is slowly, gradually it will change, at least for the time being, starting with probably solo travelers traveling to, and what I'm seeing is that the whole trend of the travel decision making is changing nowadays, because a traveler, if they want to plan a travel, be it a business travel or a leisure travel, the moment he picks up a destination, he basically looks at different aspects of that particular travel. What mode of transport should I take? Should I utilize public transport system, or should I be doing a surface travel for the time being, if it is doable? What are the safety and hygiene and quarantine requirements of that particular destination, for that matter? Is the travel necessary? That would be the first question at the moment, right? Because not everyone want to, at this point of time. Obviously, as a traveler, I'm speaking on behalf of a traveler, because I do travel a lot. So at the moment, and it is quite difficult, trust me, to sit without traveling also. But again, if I do want to travel, I do a little bit of homework, better planning than what I used to do. Pre-COVID, obviously, pre-COVID, we sometimes I have done travels without even planning. Just take my motorcycle and just go to places. But now it has changed. The whole trend is changing. So now I'll be like doing a little bit of homework, a proper planning, what the route I'll be taking, for example. So all these kind of aspects will fall in place. I think the whole trend of traveling at the moment is changing, and I would say I would urge on one fact that we need to be, yes, we are talking on behalf of travel, tourism, and hospitality sector, but on behalf of our traveler as well, we need to be, both the parties have to be responsible in choosing a travel, in doing a travel. Be it a business operator or a traveler, we need to choose a responsible way of traveling moving forward, and that will be keeping in mind the common good for all the stakeholders. I think as I said, mentioned earlier, all the hotels have implemented safety and hygiene aspects. I think that is predominantly all the business operators have to implement those things, as well as a traveler also I need to take care of my safety. So the what I'm seeing is that slowly, gradually, some selected leisure destinations are slowly, gradually opening up since the government has taken out all the restrictions, and all the borders are open, at least in India. International travel will take some more time. We all know that. But domestic travel and domestic tourism, I think all the business operators have to materialize on the opportunities of domestic travel and tourism. There is a huge opportunity. There are a lot of untapped in a diverse country like India, for example. There are a lot of destinations which are still untapped and a lot of unexplored places. So I personally see, as a traveler, as a road traveler, I personally see a huge opportunity wherein I can travel to all these places, untapped, unexplored areas, and taking care of safety and hygiene. Obviously, avoid crowded and commercial spaces for the time being. But that's what I call a responsible travel.
Great. Thank you, Sandeep. I'll move to Reema. Reema, do you think there will be a permanent impact on the travel industry, especially the business travel?
So business travel has, always been an essential part of corporate life. However, the pandemic has forced corporates to shift their in-person meetings to the virtual ones. And with the work from home policy, there's been a speculation that the business travel will be replaced by technology. So, and that once companies get used to it, they'll realize that, they don't need as much travel as, COVID recedes. And then, this also helps them cut their travel cost. But if you ask me, in my opinion, face-to-face meetings cannot be replicated. And, just all those in-person client meetings, the sales pitch that we do have a very different impact as compared to, the ones that we do online. And it is that one chance interaction that is very difficult to replicate in a non-live setting. When you see people and meet them, you can quickly get a sense of the energy level and the culture of the company can come across. So by now, I think most of us would have realized that closing a large deal in person is much easier than doing it remotely. The use of technology will expand in many ways, but I don't think that the value of being in the same room as the other person will diminish. You're eventually doing business with people, and your ability to communicate your integrity and trustworthiness, it's always better to do in person. So I think gradually we'll all have to adjust to the new normal, follow the safety norms, and travel responsibility. But I do agree to the fact that the recovery of business travel is going to be slow, but it's not going to be a permanent impact at all.
Okay, thank you, Reema. We have a question. Um, as the lockdown restrictions are getting eased, is there any option for business aviation to have an opportunity to capture premium passengers who had chosen airlines or they prefer private jet? Nikhil, will you be able to take this question?
Uh, Sure. No, so I think, as Reema mentioned, I think there are two aspects to it. Business travel is still not really opened up, and people have moved to whether it's Zoom or other sort of remote sort of ways of working, and and also it's primarily also macroeconomics, right? Businesses don't want to spend at this point of time. This at the end of the day is a discretionary sort of spend for them. They want to curtail their travel budgets, etc. But as very rightly put by Reema, at the end of the day, your face-to-face interaction, that level of connect that you can get while doing those face-to-face meetings, you can't replicate that in a virtual setting. From a question perspective, I think business travel, though they have opened up in a small manner, we are seeing demand both on regular flights and also on the chartered flights. A lot of business travelers are also sort of, especially who want to go, who are like in specific sectors, SMEs, etc. They are taking some of these chartered flights. They are going to their factories because, for example, if you are based out of Delhi and your factory is based out of, say, Gujarat, etc. So they are sort of doing charter flights because they want to go and inspect the factories, ensure that the work has started, etc., etc. So there is that sort of a demand. But very few business travelers have also started doing regular flights. And as I mentioned earlier, what a lot of these premium business travelers are also doing is they are taking these opportunities of new products that airlines have launched, such as ability to block your next seat or block the entire row, so that at least you get your level of satisfaction in terms of you are maintaining a social distancing. So that is sort of a trend that is happening, though business travel is still very small part of the overall travel that is happening at this point of time.
Okay, Nikhil, would you also like to say some of your key learnings from the COVID era in communicating, which can apply across industries?
Sure. I think COVID has been an interesting time for in to understand how to communicate to both internal and external audiences. Earlier, it was a much different era, but there are some learnings which I personally feel can be replicated. I think the number one learning for me personally is that honesty and transparency. I think more and more organizations across India and across the world are now sort of talking about how do you communicate very honestly and transparently. And consumers and employees are also gravitating towards those organizations. So they also want honest communication from their senior leadership on what is happening, what is the reality, rather than them being completely in dark. So this is sort of becoming very important aspect. Just to give you an example, I think unfortunately at IndiGo, we also had to sort of do some retention programs, etc., etc. But what we learned in this was it was very important for us to be honest and transparent. Our CEO sort of has kept everyone in the organization in the loop of what is happening, what is our business looking like, how much time it will take us for us to recover. We feel that it will take us, and Sundeep also mentioned the same thing, it will take us at least 18 to 24 months for us to go back to our previous levels. But that honesty and transparency is there. Everyone is aware what is our sort of goal, what is our mission at the end of the day. So that is becoming very important. And even externally, I think consumers also want to sort of trust those brands and consume and take services from those brands which they feel are honest and transparent in their communication. So that is one very important thing. I think second, which is also coming across and a lot of organization have started doing, is to understand the consumer and to connect with them emotionally. I think it's very important, especially in not only for the travel, tourism, and hospitality sector, but in general, whenever you are communicating, it's very important to have that emotional connect. And what we are doing at IndiGo is in two ways. We are doing a lot of these customer testimonials so that we are able to sort of really connect with the emotions of the other travelers. We are also showing a lot of gratitude at this point of time. I think it's important. We realize that doctors and nurses have done a phenomenal job. I think they are the undisputed heroes of 2020. Without them, I think all will have to sort of vouch for it. We would have been in a much worse situation. They've at least ensure that we are in a whatever situation is still much better than it could have been. So at Indigo, we started doing our bit. We launched a program which was called Tough Cookie, where we ensure that we give them discounted fares, we make their journey very memorable, pleasurable, we give them a cookie tin, etc., to at least show our gratitude and sort of emotionally connect with the consumers also. So that is also becoming very important. I think thirdly, which I think will continue to be, and it's very important aspect is consistency. You have to sort of consistently talk about a message when you're communicating internally and externally, and that is the only way you are able to create that mind share in the minds of the consumer. For example, for us, I think at Indigo, earlier, one of our taglines was "On time is a wonderful thing." And if you talk to any consumer who has sort of traveled on Indigo, their first thing when you ask about what do you recall about Indigo, they'll say that they are on time, there are no delays, etc. The fact is that we have consistently talked about it for 5 6 years, both internally and externally. So it is very important when you're giving out any message, it should be consistent. And there is this I think we at our agency and in our team, I keep talking about this, that the first people who get bored about communicating are the sort of marketing team and the agency about a message, because they keep hearing it every day. But the consumers actually take a lot of time to sort of really internalize that message. So if you are sort of communicating to external audience or internal audience, it is very important to be consistent and talk about it for at least 12 months for consumers and internal audience to really internalize that message. So I think these are the top three learnings which I have, which I feel could be sort of replicated across industries when you're sort of communicating both internally and externally.
Great insight, Nikhil. Sandeep, would you like to add on to some of your key learnings that you have taken?
Yeah, I think thanks, Shweta. I think Nikhil has briefed it quite well, and I completely agree to the fact that during any kind of crisis, and travel tourism and hospitality industry is more vulnerable to any kind of crisis. As Ratish mentioned, 2018-19 floods, we have had that Nipah, Zika, whatever virus you name it, everything is kind of affecting the travel tourism and hospitality industry because of human to human transmission and travel bans, and the first step would be travel ban and etc and so on. And hotel industry have already faced many other crises of other natures, for example terrorism, attacks which happened in 26/11, for example, like 9/11 Mumbai attacks, etc. What I'm trying to say is every crisis is an opportunity, and trust me, this crisis has given a lot of learnings towards any professional working in this sector, for that matter. Communication is very, very critical, as rightly mentioned by Nikhil. Internal and external communication is very, very critical, and that is what we initially focused upon for the hotel company. We kind of literally did over communication, and I would personally feel that over communication is absolutely acceptable at this point of time, because under communication is a problem. You communicate and communicate, that is absolutely okay, because since we have a diverse locations where the hotels have been placed, and every states have different rules and regulations, communication to that apt hotel or an apt location and apt stakeholders is very, very critical, because every location behaves differently, right? Every rules and regulation for every location is different. Travel advisory for any country or any state is different. So communication has to be accurate and to very in a very prescribed and precise manner. That's very important. Second thing I would like to mention here is that hotels predominantly offer two products. One is room for accommodation. Second is food and beverage. But now this during this pandemic, obviously rooms business went down, food and beverage business went down. So now it has prompted the hotel industry leadership to come up with some, how to materialize or how to come up with some, or thinking, we call it thinking outside the box in a common man's language, and come up with certain ideas, how we really can serve the customers in a better way, how we can engage the customers in a better way, or how we can materialize on some ancillary services which the hotels used to provide. as part of the main services. Like for example, transportation. Like for example, spa and leisure services. Um, I would say movie services. Yeah. So a lot of ancillary services were there, wherein the hotels, a lot of hotels have tied up with e-commerce aggregators like Swiggy and Zomato for providing food and beverage, to customers. Right, home deliveries have been enhanced, quite a lot. All the five-star hotels have already tied up with Swiggy and Zomato, for example. So likewise, it just gave a different perspective altogether. How to engage with partners, and how to work as a team to kind of overcome the situation. So these were kind of great learnings which I came across during this period of point of time.
Great, Sandeep. We have a question from Anu to Saba. What will be your advice to those who have taken hospitality as their career, and to those who want to learn hotel management?
Mm. Yeah, I think it's a very tricky question at a time when the industry has completely kind of shut down over the last few months and trying to revive gradually. I think the job losses or the furloughs and salary cuts have probably not helped that. While that said, I think uh, human spirit cannot be contained, and I think the revival will be strong in the sector. No doubt about that, though it may be slightly elongated or gradual. I think if it is somebody who loves people or experiences, you can't beat whether it's travel, tourism, or hotels as a career, right? As a person who wants to look forward to a career, what it can do to you, I'm sure each one of us have been in the industry, and how personally transformative, I'm sure we all know, right? How it has brought you into what you're today, from where we started our journey. I'm myself over 2 decades in the industry, and I can tell you I've enjoyed every bit of my travel, every bit of my experience with different cultures, different locations, different teams. Very enriching. Very enriching is how I would like to put it, and I would highly recommend. I see ups and downs are definitely going to be always there, and this is only a once in a century or once in a lifetime kind of event. So this should not deter anybody who is wanting to choose an enriching travel or hospitality career or tourism career. So one of the reasons for that is it is one of the globally the largest employment provider. If people didn't know that, travel happens to be the world's largest employment provider as a single sector. Of course, you have individual compartmentalization in terms of tourism or hotels, or even within hotels, leisure, business travel, etc. But overall, if you see the umbrella of travel industry, I mean, it's a phenomenal spectrum, and it provides not only organized jobs. I mean, in the case of India, it contributes to over 13-14% of our GDP in the organized sector, and up to 20% in combination with the unorganized employment that we provide. So that is huge, and I don't think there's any sector which has that broad a spectrum of appeal, right? So, yeah, I mean, we're talking about a year or so ago, about 250 billion US dollars is what's the contribution of the industry, to our country's GDP, right? So that's what we see, and I think job opportunities will continue to be there. Yes, the industry has a bit of stigma to see that in comparison with the new world jobs, probably it's not considered to be well paying. But yeah, sometimes the perks plus the cash is what you need to look at. And one of the very interesting things that people may want to know of somebody who's thinking about hospitality as a career is the rich variety of experiences that you will get as a professional, right? You may be able to experience cross functions, I mean, like no other business, right? So you could position yourself in different streams. I myself started, though originally a psychology graduate and a hotel management graduate, I initially was in operations for the first half of my career, then moved on to learning and development and human resources, and specialized in it with XLRI, and subsequently IM also. So the thing is that the versatility of a career, that the spectrum that it can provide, is you're never bored. I mean, you don't do the same thing uh, in 2 days what you did yesterday is absolutely different from what you will be facing today. And that variety, I'm sure all my panelists will agree that this rich variety of experiences, which means no monotony per se. I don't want to hit a particular sector, but let's say you're an IT professional, you're a things like that. It's going to be a lot monotonous, in my opinion. No 2 days are the same in travel or hospitality. So with that said, I would say, hey, take it on. Ups and downs are always going to be there, and if you enjoy people, experiences, cultures, no better industry than this for you to experience. So go for it. And before I probably hand it back to you, Shweta, I would like to touch upon a few things in terms of revival or learnings. So what has happened is, going forward, the industry would need thinking outside the box. What does it mean? We may have to reinvent our models, business models, to see how the interim period over the next, whatever, 9 to 18 months or 24 months, whatever the span is going to be, how do we efficiently operate in the wake of reduced demand, or demand with, reduced compensation, or rather, revenues, reduced revenues and stuff like that. So compensation models have to evolve, hybrid, work models have to come up, to be able to efficiently contribute to business is probably going to be the biggest challenge for operators and human resource professionals, because work from home has contributed to a big bit in supporting everybody. But as Reema and Nikhil and all of them said, it cannot continue to just be like that. We need to hit work, and people need to travel. And in my own career in the last 2+ decades, I've seen it take a dip and come back even strongly. I would like to quote Reema's initial word as revenge tourism, right? We are looking forward to that surge very soon, where people want to travel. COVID has locked us up too long, right? So with that said, it's our responsibility as operators to ensure that safety is predominant. As Sundeep mentioned, that's going to really bring people back to the customer confidence that we will be working on. And as Nikhil said, testimonials and connecting to people emotionally is really going to be the way forward to bring customer confidence and make them travel again. Yeah, thanks, Reema.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much, Saba.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Saba. It's great to hear that we still have a lot of opportunities in this sector. To my viewers, we extended for a few more minutes. So now I will move on to Ratish. Ratish, would you like to give a tip or suggestion to the aspiring entrepreneurs in this section, in this sector? Is there any new opportunity coming up where they don't want to miss?
You asked a question which I may have to answer from my heart, because I am an entrepreneur who enjoys being an entrepreneur, or enjoys what I do. See, we use the word aspiring entrepreneur. First, the aspiring entrepreneur should understand whether he is a really aspiring entrepreneur, or an entrepreneur, or somebody who just want to become an entrepreneur seeing somebody's success. If he's really an aspiring entrepreneur, he should have the traits of an entrepreneur. He should be able to manage all the things an entrepreneur has to have on his journey, because it's a different journey. The bus is different. You will have to have different traits. You will have to have different emotions. You will have to handle different things. You will have to handle all type of problems within the organization, as well as you will have to handle your family. Everything you will have to handle with equal importance, and you will have to manage it. Unless you have that trait, as well as the background or the people around you also should be adjusted to your habits. If you go to a go with a mental patient to a mental hospital, first they treat the bystander. First they tell the bystander, this is how you should treat this person. You should talk to this person, kind of thing. So an entrepreneur, this is the case with the entrepreneur's family. The family has to be adjusted to his emotions, his feelings, his tensions, his pressure, everything. Unless you can have a family like this, and that's also important. You may be a passionate entrepreneur, but end of the day you will not succeed. I know people who are like this, who will never succeed in their life and entrepreneurship. That means end of the day they will not succeed in their entrepreneurship journey. So all these the traits of the entrepreneur as well as the background or the everything. If everything he can combine together, obviously it's something which somebody has to take up. Everyone say entrepreneur has to be hardworking, passionate. All these things are required. He should be hardworking. He should be passionate. He should be passionate about entrepreneurship, not about a, particular product. The reason is, imagine somebody is highly passionate about tourism and getting into entrepreneurship. If he is only passionate about tourism, he will do extremely well when tourism is at its height. When there is a problem with tourism, he will not be able to be resilient enough to manage something. He won't be able to diversify from what he is doing. Always, an entrepreneur has to have resilience. He should be persistent enough. He should have that feeling, or the fire from his belly. He should always have it. I'll tell you a small story also. Give me 5 minutes. I mean 2 or 3 minutes. I have a very successful. I have an uncle who is very successful. One day I asked him, give me 1 or 2 points, or how you became successful. He told me, a sparrow sings for her to enjoy. We always listen to sparrow singing, but we enjoy it. But the sparrow is singing for herself to enjoy. Similarly, we should do business for us to satisfy our inner feelings or to satisfy us. When we do that, we will be persistent enough to do what we are doing. And unless we are persistent, we won't be able to succeed. We always see many entrepreneurs doing, I mean, opening a company every 6 months or every 1 year, they open one or the other company, and they will never succeed unless you continuously keep doing for 1 to 2 to 3 years, with all your heart, all your time, all your energy. These aspiring entrepreneurs will never become entrepreneurs. They will keep becoming an aspiring entrepreneur. So once you really want to become an entrepreneur, with all the background, set all the backgrounds, then get into this journey. But you will become very successful if you have this. And your second question, opportunities in the sector. I don't think till 2019 December nobody would have asked this question, because this is a sector which was highly demanded, 10% of the GDP, almost 5 crore employment. A lot of people were doing extremely well. Nobody was bothered. Seeing somebody's success, a lot of people were starting, because starting a tourism company, especially a tourism company, does not require much capital. Many people have started. Many people got into hotels. Many people got into aviation, because this was an industry which was loved by many. This was accepted by many. So it was, we were having that kind of feeling, and a lot of people were coming into this industry till December. See, you need to understand, the cow is pregnant now. For last this cow was giving enough milk till 2019. Last 5 or 6 months she is pregnant. You have to wait for another 4 or 5 months for her to deliver the cow, and that after 2 months the cow will again start giving milk. You will have to wait for another 1 or 2 years more. The calf will also grown up. She will also give you milk. The industry is never going to die. You get, I mean, you get lot of milk from this cow, and the calf will also give you a lot of milk. So this is one of the best industries. We have to stick to this. Only thing is we need to adjust to the current scenario, current situation, and manage it. Thank you so much. I think I answered you.
I'm sure a lot of our entrepreneurs get inspired by all the stories that you have just spoke about, the sparrow story and the cow story. Great, great, Ratish. So we are a bit overrun, but I'll just take a few minutes to summarize. Overall, I think the discussion was very insightful. Even though we started off with the impacts which has completely affected our normal lives, there has been a lot of learnings. New trends are emerging. Consumer demands have changed. Companies had to modify their strategies, but we could hear from the experts that we have a lot more to look forward to. Reema mentioned about the concept of revenge traveling. Nikhil mentioned about the chartered flying has gone up. And like Ratish and Saba mentioned, medical tourism is trending. Uh, and like Sundeep said, we have also seen a lot of disruption in technology, going totally contactless in all areas wherever possible. Having said that, people have started traveling, and it will definitely go up in the coming months. Because as Reema rightly said, nothing can replicate face-to-face meetings or a good travel experience. With that, thank you all for joining with us today. Thank you, Saba, Reema, Sandeep, Ratish, and Nikhil for taking out your time from your busy schedule and speak with us. We look forward to your participation in the future events. I would like to mention once again that the views expressed here in this discussion is personal and does not represent any organization. Thank you once again and have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Shweta. Thank
Shweta.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sweatha.
And
Thank you.
Thanks.
thanks,
Thanks, Shweta.
listeners.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.